Wearable world.
Good morning, everyone. We are here to start presentation with Kyle Ellicott. He is a founder of Wearable World and creative director at TechZulu. Goal-oriented entrepreneur with more than 7 years of expertise in areas of business development and strategic planning. Please welcome Kyle Ellicott.
Thank you. Sorry, everybody, I was late. I didn't realize traffic was going to be as bad as it was today. It's a beautiful day out here in Silicon Valley, so totally makes sense. But anywho, so yeah, I think today we're going to talk a little bit about what it takes to build the right team. So, as my bio said, I've started a few different companies and currently am running several companies, which I'll get to how I do that and why I do that. How many of you guys right now? There's only a few of you. Let's get a little bit of background on everybody. How many people have started a company or are looking to start a company right now? So you guys have all started a company? Okay. So what about you two in here in the front? I'm gonna pick on all of you. There's like 8 of you, because I'm gonna pick on everyone. Have you guys started a company before? Oh, okay. 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 So what about you, young lady in the back? No? Okay. Okay. So you guys have started companies. Some of you guys have probably worked in organizations and understand what it takes to build a team, right? And some of the foundations. So for us, a little bit more about my background. I've been building teams since I was probably about 14 when I started my first company. So a very, very long time. Even though I don't have any gray hair, I'm definitely old. And one of the things that I found consistent throughout was being able to work with people and individuals that I could not only trust, but could also rely on and also get along with in the good times and the bads. So you guys are here in Silicon Valley. It's the heart of entrepreneurship and starting companies. Um, the thing that happens when you start a company is things get really good. It's like honeymoon stages. Everything's great. We're all excited. We're all happy. We're all building. You maybe have a co-founder, maybe one. Everybody's happy. It's like being in. It's like, yes, let's do this. It's a lot of fun. And then things switch, and you kind of get into this path of ups and downs, up and downs, up and downs, and it's hard to stay together, and it's hard to stay positive throughout. And so things that I've when building my teams in the past for companies is finding someone and others that can stay with me through that ride. So, one of the things that I do with Wearable World is we have an incubator program. We take in multiple companies twice a year and help take them from idea and concept all the way through market and beyond. So I'm sitting there watching these teams get built. So every little problem that you can imagine, I've seen. I've seen founders fight. I've seen team dynamics go from great one day to exploding the next. Seen it all. And again, it all comes back down to those same things of finding someone you can trust and someone that can actually believe in what you're doing and ride the wave with you. So with that, I want to just ask you guys a few questions because I have a really cool team and I'll tell you all about it, but I want to get some more understanding of you guys. So you guys have a company right now, is that right? So what is your company built of? How many people are in the company? Is it just one founder? Is it two founders? Okay. Okay. Very nice. What's your new startup? Wow. So all software focused. Is it all software focused or okay. So that brings up a good thing and a very valuable lesson I learned very early on in my career was when it came to team dynamics, there was one core of a team when you're building a company, specifically in something at hardware, that people don't think about, and that is engineers and designers. They are two completely different sets of people. Their minds work differently. One's a little bit more analytic and engineering like, one is more creative and free. And they both are amazing at what they do. However, if any of you have worked with those that are on the extreme side, it is very difficult for them to communicate to each other. And within any team, communication is a very, very large very large part of having a good team dynamic. And in one of the companies I used to work in, we had these great engineers, we had these great designers, and no one could talk to each other. The only person that was able to communicate was me, because I actually had knowledge in both. And one of the things I always recommended to people who are getting into this world of technology and specifically around engineering was start to understand what the other side sees. You don't have to be a UX or a UI genius. You don't have to be, most knowledgeable programmer. But you need to know some of the key terminologies and also understand how to respect each other and the opinions that are coming across. Software engineers are going to have brilliant ideas of how something should be architected, whereas designers are going to know exactly how it should look. But if neither of them talk and communicate each other and actually respect what the other is saying, the product never comes along. And our team is built very similar to that. So every single person in our company wears multiple hats. Some of them probably wish they didn't wear as many, but every single person wears many hats. Every single person knows what the other person does. So that way, if anything ever happens, someone else can be a fallback, and if there's ever made, they know why it's being made. So for you guys, I don't know if, since you guys are about to start hiring, definitely look for someone that has that great experience that can cross between the two. It will save you more money, more time, and more fights than you can ever imagine. What about you guys? So the teams that you guys have built or the teams that you guys have worked on, have you had any problems? Yeah, I'm going to start with you. Okay. 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 Have you guys had any problems in your team before? Like if there was ever a question that you could ask somebody who's built more teams than anyone sitting in this room right now, what would it be? So software developers don't understand how scientists work? Or the reverse. Scientists don't understand how software developers work. So it's very similar to problem to engineers. There has to be a level of understanding between the two. Me personally being in that situation, and we actually had this happen in one of our companies, it was literally sitting down two people and saying, okay, this battle is done. What is your function and what is your role? How do you operate? Okay, now this other person, same question. Now that you both understand how each other operates, because here's the thing. Let's say you're the scientist, you're the software engineer. That's all I know about you. All I know is that you program. All that I know about you is that you're a scientist. I imagine like Bill Nye the Science Guy sitting in your lab, pouring chemicals and doing something fun. But when you actually sit down and allow each of the people to explain what they do in detail. Like what kind of scientist are you? Are you a data scientist? Do you, if you're a data scientist, what are you doing with the data? Are you analyzing it? Are you breaking it down? Are you building algorithms? If you're just breaking down the data, who builds the algorithms? Probably the engineer. The engineer needs to understand how you're breaking down the data. And so when that communication starts going and starts flowing with each other, those types of problems get solved very easily. And I've seen it happen. In three of our 40 companies, I've actually had to do that with. It's a very interesting problem. Again, it's just based on the way their minds work. And that's what you find when you're building a team, is not everybody is the same. Not everybody is equal. Everybody works differently. And when things start to happen, people stop communicating and are not very open and clear about what they do. It causes a huge clash within. And that's when you take a step back, you make sure everyone understands what everybody does. It may sound very simple, and it may sound easier said than done, but trust me on it. If you sit down the two people or the three people in your organization, say, explain exactly what you do in detail. What does your day-to-day look like? You'll be amazed at the step forward that you can make as a team. So, what about you, young lady? So it brings up another good point. So communication. When we talk with each other throughout a team, everybody learns differently, and the way that you talk to certain employees is different. So you're going to talk to your engineers a little differently than you're going to talk to your creatives and to your executives. You used a very interesting term. So kind of broke it. Your manager broke it down for you simply how this thing worked. For you, you probably didn't need all the technical jargon. You just needed, okay, you turn this on, it does this, this is why it does this, and here's how we sell it. Whereas someone on the engineering side or the data side would need to understand much, much more. And so, again, in teams, that communication factor is huge. We had again a similar issue in another company where I had to explain problem to 6 different people 6 different ways. It was a very, very big challenge early in my career, again, understanding how people worked. But after that, I got it. It's like, okay, well, these people expect this thing, these people expect that, and so any team that you're in, whether you're starting one or you're within a team, you need to look at everybody and understand how they work and how they function. Very similar to a sports team. If you're, playing football, you're playing baseball, you're playing basketball, you understand every player on your team, how they work, how they function, so that you can move as a unit versus individually. And that's, starting from the top down. When we start a company, the co-founder and myself, to do. I mean, every co-founder I've had, I know exactly what triggers them. I know how they work, what they do right, what they do wrong, how I can work with them, how I need to explain certain things. And then as we go further down and build out the team, you stay as intimate as you can when building out that team to understand that same dynamic. When you get to a large organization and you have thousands and thousands of people, it's harder to have that. But that's why you have managers, that's why you have directors and vice presidents to further gain that knowledge so that it can come back up the tree. But I can tell you right now, our organization is about 20 some odd people. I think we're about 25 right now. And the original core of 10 of us know everything. I mean, we sit around a table together. None of us have offices. We sit around a big, large, open office. And I can tell you at any given time how to communicate with one versus the other and what's going to trigger one versus how they learn. And the additional 15 we know even more about. And those that they have act the exact same way. So it's just, again, back to when you're in a team, when you're building a team, just learn everything you can about everybody. Understand everything about everybody. That's how you can continue to move forward, again, as a unit versus individually. When it came to communication, some of the things that a lot of companies have here in the Valley and honestly all around the world is they get sucked down in many forms of communication. It's emails, it's phone calls, it's meetings, it's this, it's that, and nobody actually has an idea of what's going on. There's just too many forms of communications. We notice this in our own organization, and we actually cut down on the amount of cut down the amount of excess communication. So we have emails for bigger tasks, things that need to be recorded in some way. Anything that's short form, we use a messaging service. So we use a service called CoTap, which allows us to send kind of short form messaging to any of our team members, anywhere in the world. So we've got 25 people. I've got entrepreneurs all around the world. I've got freelancers. I've got offices in Europe and soon to be in China, everywhere, and very easily can communicate with everybody through a quick message. I don't need to send an email to say, hey, are you available for this meeting? You can very easily just send a short message to get that information. So when you're communicating with your teams, again, if you're building one or you're already existing in one, find ways to trim that excess communication, stuff that's not necessary. Find a way to cut down on your emails. Rather than sending 2-page emails, try to send an email in 140 characters. It's harder and easier than you think. It's hard to find a way to get 2 pages down to 140 characters, but most of the time you don't need anything else than that. So guys, I'm just going to keep questions. I can talk to you guys about how to build a team all day, but it sounds like some of you are already in a team and some of you are building a team. So, you guys probably have questions, and I'd love to hear more of them. What about you two in the back there? Red polo and gray. So you're curious how to fire somebody in a startup, or how to? If someone's not effective in a team? Okay. Well, firing might not be the first option. Firing is the least exciting thing in the world to do to anybody. If you're in a organization, someone's not effective in a particular team. One, find out why. It's a very simple question of pulling somebody aside and understanding what's going on. Maybe there's an internal problem you don't know about. Maybe there's the way they learn, for instance. So if the way that the rest of the team communicates is not the same way that they process information, that can be an issue. And I've seen that happen in large organizations where you have one person running a meeting and 20 people sitting around on the team, but half those 20 people don't understand what the person is saying because they don't process information the same way that it's being given. So communicating, figuring out what the problem is. If it's a learning issue, figuring out how to adapt the entire team to start maybe learning in a visual fashion rather than just analytical or verbally. Maybe there's some internal team dynamics you don't know about. When you're in a large organization, a lot of people talk, a lot of problems occur. People maybe just don't like each other. You're never going to know that unless you ask. With all those things, if everything you've done and tried does not work, look at their role. Is their role fit for that team? Do they fit in a different team or a different part of the organization? Now, if it's in a startup, that's a little bit different, especially if the startup's more of an intimate size. So it's 30 people or less than 50. You have to figure out very quickly what's going on. Maybe they're not a right fit for the company. Maybe they're just not a right fit for the particular team. If their role's in marketing and they're not right for the marketing team, is there another place that they could be more effective? Could they be moved over to business development? And if not, and again, it goes back to them maybe not being a fit for the company, then you have to move to that unfortunate piece of letting them go. Does that help? A little bit? So what give me another example. Depends. Yeah. When you're first starting, it's three to six people. How do you, so if half of them are introverts, half of them are extroverts? Yep. Well, so yeah, I mean, sometimes to be honest with you, the clear truth, and it sucks, but it's sometimes you have to fire people. Sometimes you have to let people go. If you're in an intimate team of 3 to 6 people, and someone's kind of the rotten egg and does not fit, maybe has a bad attitude, and they're not the right person for the team, you probably are in a position to have to let them go. So it's the final decision is from the CEO. Now everybody can have their opinion. If you're talking 3 to 6 people, people are going to voice their opinions very quickly. When we were first starting with Wearable World, there was 6 of us, and 6 of us sat around a dining room table. And if somebody had an opinion, it very quickly got shared. I mean, you are arm length away from somebody. If is not correct, it's going to be made known very quickly. Also, in an intimate, you can tell if someone's got a bad attitude very quickly. You might be the one with a bad attitude. um, but all of the team can give their opinion. However, no. Whereas a founder, you should be paying attention to that all the time. Every one of our CEOs, I make that very clear. Every single learned how to recognize someone who's potentially a poison asset throughout the team and may need to go, or they may need to have a conversation with. Myself included. I've been able to see that through my teams. I've been able to see it through all of our company's teams. So when the decision comes down to it, on a team of 3 to 6, it's you. You're the one that makes the call whether or not to pull the trigger and say, look, this just isn't working out, unfortunately, and we're going to have to let you go. So it's a sucky conversation to have. Yeah. 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 I mean, and again, sometimes it's not as quick to just say let's get rid of this person, let's fire them. Again, a lot of things go into why someone might be frustrated or might not be the right fit for that team. Again, if it's a team of 3 to 6, someone is doing marketing, someone is doing business development, someone is doing. There are there are multiple forms of engineering. Your core two are front and back end. Someone could be a back end engineer, just doesn't verbalize their skill set, and you toss them into being a front end engineer. And that is the last thing they want to do. I am that way. I am a front end engineer by trade. I have tons of knowledge and can code anything in the back end, but I don't want to. I have no desire to. In it, I would do my role, but to a point, I would probably get a little frustrated and not enjoy it as much as I would in a. And that's based on my creative mind. So that's something to think about. Don't go straight to firing people. That's the worst advice. I don't give that advice. Definitely go and try to understand the issue and make a quick decision of whether or not it's something that they just need to be adjusted or if it's someone that's just not going to fit. So, what about any other questions? What about you two right there? You young lady in the green and the gray. No questions. You guys just want to know how to fire people. Easiest way, take them out for a drink, make it a very nice and comfortable. No. If you ever have to be in that unfortunate and uncomfortable position, it's never easy to fire anybody. You have to be very clear and very honest, but also very sensitive. And when you do let somebody go, make sure to give them a little bit of insight on how they can do better or some of the things that they've done well. For instance, if you have to let someone go, let's say you have to let go one of your engineers. They may be a fantastic engineer on one side, but need to adjust their skill set on another. So give them something that they can learn and walk away with versus just saying, hey, you're done. See ya, it's been real. All right. So what other teams? We got a few new people in the back here. Stanford, guy with the Stanford shirt. Hey, oh hey, how you doing, buddy? Hey, what's going on? So we're talking about team building here. We talked about how teams can be formed and some of the problems. Do you have a what are you doing? I see you guys back there playing on a computer. So either you're playing some amazing arcade games. What's that? Oh, you're totally. I'm just teasing. I'm just teasing you, buddy. So what are you guys building? What is it that you guys are building, or are you on a team currently?
Instructor done.
So say that last part one more time. So what is it? What is that you guys do? Give me like a 10-second version of what you guys do.
We perform
Oh,
audits,
yeah.
energy audits, and technical inspection of buildings and structures
Very
in
nice.
Kazakhstan. We are engineers.
Very nice. Very nice. So is it your guys' company right now, or are you part of a company? Did you found the company, or is it someone else's?
No, we are engineers. Just
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yep.
So, interesting. So, a question for you guys as engineers, because we've already covered this, but would love to hear your opinion. Do you guys find it when you're on a team and having to work with someone outside of the engineering department that it can be very difficult to explain certain things, like what you're trying to do or what your function is?
we have project. It's named production of heating elements based on carbon. It's so important technology for buildings, agriculture. And sorry.
It's totally fine, buddy. It's early in the morning. I totally get it. It's all right. I'm picking on
Not
everybody,
yet.
so don't feel bad.
Not yet. We're a young team. We're a young company.
How big is your team? How many people?
6.
6?
Yep.
Okay.
2 of them in United States now.
Okay. What's the company called?
Как? Нет, на английском. It's because it's
So you're
long
definitely an
name
engineer.
in Russian, yep. Сейчас,
So what is the name?
сейчас скажу.
Okay.
Research Center, Energy Efficiency and Resource
how-
Saving.
How long have you been with this company?
1 month.
Okay.
No,
You-
it's so difficult in Russian. It's so long name, and in English it's more.
So we have I have 3 Russian companies right now, and I have 3 in Singapore. So I very much understand the long names that come from the Russian side of things. And it's funny. I actually working with these entrepreneurs who are from Russia. I learned a lot. There's some very interesting dynamics of how they communicate versus how people communicate here in the U.S. How teams are built, how structures are done. I think every single one of our teams have like 10 engineers on it. There is like a hotbed of engineers in Russia. Like, and you are one of them, so congratulations for that.
Maybe.
I'm glad we got that one answered very quickly. One word. Yeah, it's when we started working, we had in kind of a class in between our normal accelerator program, and had 10 companies. 80% of them, so 8 of them were from Russia, and as a startup, they moved differently. They had a different mindset. The way, again, they built their teams were much different than kind of the traditional or what we see elsewhere in the world. But they're engineers. their engineers were unlike I've seen anywhere. Like most of our companies, and the three particular that are from Russia right now, are all hardware-based companies. And their engineers can kick things out faster than any other have here in the U.S. It is amazing. So you guys are great. Congratulations, by the way, for being a part of that team. Do you like it?
Yep.
Oh, there's another one. You're getting better and better at this. So how do you say the name in Russian? I want to hear it in Russian. How do you say it?
Научно-исследовательский центр энергоэффективности и ресурсосбережения.
Wow. That is amazing.
Carbon.
Now I totally understand why you had to take a second on that question. That is wow. Okay. So what are you doing? So you're over here in Silicon Valley. Outside of team building, like what do you expect to learn and what do you expect to get out of being over here right now as an engineer?
Oh.
Don't look at your computer. You know the answer.
I want to find investors, maybe.
Okay.
I want to find friends, colleagues, maybe, who want to do it with us, who want to help us.
So you mentioned you have employees or you have team members here in the U.S. How do you time zones? Has that ever become an issue? So you guys are about 14. Thank you. I was going to say 16. So 14 hours.
Yeah, I think they will work by American team.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So one of the issues that again we learned early on and came in part of our team dynamics was how to build a team internationally. It's much more difficult than you think. Even being outside of the U.S. and building a team with someone in the U.S. can be difficult because you have these time zone differences. So right now I've got 4 employees in London that I have to communicate with. That's a 9-hour difference. I have founders who are in Russia, who are in Singapore that I have to talk to, along with New Zealand. That's a 14 to 16 hour. That is hard. And what it turned out to do was kind of change my schedule to being almost 20 hours a day versus 12. But again, back to that short form of communication. Like I had to be able to communicate with people on both sides of our time zone. Very short and sweet. So when I reached out to our person in London, I asked them very quick questions of what's going on, how is this happening, what's going on with this, and can we get this done? To get a quick response. Same with on the other side. And I actually had to talk with someone yesterday in 4 different time zones. And for you guys, so you guys are based over in Russia, is that correct?
Us.
What's that?
What about? It's not so difficult because if you know what you want and if you have ideas, me, usually I send them information what I do here. Think about it, he work about it and send me. And we have enough time.
Oh, perfect. Well, and you guys are working with the time zone too. So as we're kind of completing our day, you're starting your day. Whereas if you're working on the other side, they're ending their day as we're starting our days. And it's a very difficult thing to adjust to when you first start. You have to admit, like when I worked for a large corporation and had teams in Russia and I had teams in Europe, like this whole 24-hour cycle is genius. But how do you communicate with each other? How do you actually work with your teams elsewhere? And it wasn't until we really got Wearable World to this, I understand like how to communicate. So just as you're saying, like when you have a request, you send it and you know it's going to get done. But for the other way, so when I work with people in Europe, I have to send that request earlier rather than later. Get done, and we're actually behind. Again, a very big lesson learned. So if any of you guys are dealing with those international timelines and time zones, figure out what works best. Can you send stuff late at night versus early in the morning and it gets done, or are you doing stuff early in the morning rather than late at night? The people we work with in New Zealand and in Australia, I was on a call with them at 7 o'clock last night, when I was on a call with people in Ireland at 8 o'clock in the morning and people in Paris at 7:30 in the morning. And it's just something that you have to adjust to as your team grows. So thank you for
We're young. We can get used to. Not so difficult.
it wears on you quickly, buddy. It wears on you quickly. You two right here in the front. I'm gonna call you guys out. You guys have been quiet. You guys have been okay. This is the danger with small crowds, is that I can pick on everybody. So what are you guys doing? What is the project that you guys work on?
Our project about optimization LTE network.
Okay.
It's cloud solution which help to replace hardware needs of mobile network operator.
Oh wow. Okay.
So in the team we have 3 person. One of them founder and 2 is managers, which are responsible for technical issues, and the second for business.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
So since 2013, 1 year.
So you guys have been around for 1 year and you have a team of 3?
Yes.
So you guys work pretty well together.
Half year we for technical development, and the other half working for finding partnership investors and so on.
Wow. Okay. So for 1 year, 3 team members, which means you guys have been moving quick and well together. I mean, you guys
Yes,
haven't had
thank
to
you.
expand the team.
We'll try.
So are all 3 of you co-founders?
Not.
No.
No.
Okay.
1 founder and 2 managers.
So let me ask you this: do you guys have any issues within your team? So and the reason I ask is there's 3 of you, so someone's kind of always the odd man out, having to pick a side in an argument. Do you guys ever have any difficulty in the team?
And we have difficulty in the instance because one of member of team in Astana and others in Almaty. In some time,
Oh, wow.
yes, we have some issue to communicate with each other.
And what is the issue for communication? Is it because you guys are in different cities and maybe potentially different time zones, or is it just because you guys are in different cities?
Okay, place of born our project is Almaty, but favorite targeting Astana. So I am like a business development manager, should work in Astana.
Oh wow. Okay. So someone's in one city but should be in another.
Yes.
So this is actually a problem that we had.
Yes.
So I used to live in Los Angeles. I lived in Los Angeles for quite some time. And when we first started this company, I was still living down there. And what I found was I was flying to San Francisco every week or every other week.
Yes. Yes. We do it now.
Yeah, and at one point I think I dropped for a ticket
Yes.
the morning of, and I was supposed to be in San Francisco that afternoon. And what I found very quickly is that it just wasn't efficient. It didn't make sense. So I moved up here for about 2 months as we were building, and we were doing a very large conference. And after that conference, I had to make a decision. Do I fly?
Yes.
And save a lot of money on rent, but spend it all back on plane tickets? And if I do that, how does it affect the team? How does it look when a co-founder in another city, and the rest of your team is in another city? How does it affect communication? You're only 400 miles apart, which is you're only 400 miles or an hour flight. How does that affect everybody? And so I had to make the conscious decision of, well, it won't work. I have to move. And so I had that flexibility, thankfully, and pretty much moved within a day. Flew down to Los Angeles, got all my stuff, and drove back up here. And that's when we were a small team. I mean, that's when we were 6 people, and now we're at 25. And it's something that's, I knew we could not be where we are today if I had stayed down there. So it's for you guys, and I mean, it's it's team by team, and that's something that you might want to look at. I mean, you guys are a year old. How much bigger could you be in 6 months if you were all together? Or if 2 of you were in the same city versus spread elsewhere. Definitely something to look at. And it's a tough call. It's a hard thing too, because sometimes there's a lifestyle attached. So if you have a certain life, you're married, you have kids, you have established connection to that city, it's hard to say, yeah, I'm gonna get up and move tomorrow. It's a lot easier when you don't have any of those responsibilities or any of those ties. And when you do, there's a lot more that goes into it, and a lot more questions that have to be asked. So for you guys, I mean, maybe that's a conversation that you need to have sooner than later, because it sounds like you've got a pretty cool company that actually could do a lot of good, but that you're kind of being held back a little bit by the issue of communication across the 3 or the couple cities.
Yes, but maybe problem is not in traveling and other issues. Yes, problem is in the ticket between Almaty and Astana is expensive. So haven't cash generation. It's difficult for first time, but after having flow, it seems to me it will be easy.
It definitely will be.
It's first time, and
it definitely will be easier. I'll tell you this: if you're looking to raise money, the things that investors will look at is where your team is, and if your team is spread out, and you're a small team. Now, if you're a team of 20, like we have in this room right now, it's a little different. People could be in different areas for different reasons and different markets. However, if it's a team of 3, an investor may look at you and say, well, for me to make this investment, you're automatically going to spend anywhere from 1 to 6 plane tickets per month, which is actually a lot of money just down the drain versus if you guys were all in the same area. So be very cautious of that when you're going to raise money. It's something that may come up if you guys are looking to raise money.
okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So guys, I mean, any other questions? Like I can talk to you about team dynamics all day, but I figured it would be easier for you guys to ask. Oh, we got one. Yes. Everything. So when they come into our incubator, they come in many different stages. So they may come into the incubator at just the stage with an idea and a concept and are looking to build out a product. They may have a prototype. They may already be in the market and need to understand certain things. So they need to understand how to scale their business, how to build their business, how they should build a team, how they should raise money. So every piece that goes into building a business is what we help and mentor them on. And so for me, I mean, most of those teams, if not all of them, are companies I've helped play certain people on their team and help these founders and guide in the direction of who needs to be on their team. So for instance, if you're building a fashion, you don't necessarily need an engineer. If you're building a company in fashion technology meets fashion, you may not need an engineer right away. You may need an electrical engineer or an industrial engineer further down the road, but you may need a fashion designer before you need that engineer. And so understanding those team dynamics of who and when to bring them on is something that we give a bunch of support to.
How to find mentor for startup?
How do you find a mentor?
How to find the choosing of mentor? It's mentor is startup work. Or you need something like or to be sympathetic boss.
You know, it's a great question. So for our companies in our incubator, they have access to over 150 mentors that we select and we bring in for them to work with and the mentors to choose to work with. For me, every company is stuck with me whether they like it or not. But we give mentors the ability to choose companies and companies to choose you. Let's say you're not a part of that program and you're looking for a mentor. Start researching who's in your particular space and see who does. You know, like for instance, I had this. There's a video somewhere out on YouTube about building what I called your own advisory board, so that when you're building a company or you have tough decisions, who do you go to ask those questions and to get answers? What I did is I just looked at my local community. You know, who supported the things that I needed help with. So, for instance, if you're looking for a mentor to help on the engineering side, who in the area or who in your network guidance? They don't have to be a full-blown mentor where they're involved 40 hours a week, but just who is someone that could provide you insight for that. So, like if you needed, you know, UX UI mentorship, I'm now going to be in your network. You could reach out and say, Kyle, I need a little bit of help. Would you mind mentoring me and giving me, you know, a few hours time this week, and then maybe just answering a couple questions next week, and you know, if you've got the time, just kind of being there in case I need help. I'd look at you and say, yeah, that's definitely something I have time for. So what you do is you look for those in your community, you look for what you need help with, and then just start reaching out. Look in your network. I'm sure your network's pretty large. You know, I look at our LinkedIn. I mean, my LinkedIn connections are enormous, and I know I can go to any one of them and just say, guys, like I need help. I need someone to mentor me through this process, or I need a mentor to join our company, and that starts to become an advisor rather than a mentor. Right. So if you need a mentor for, find someone who has engineering background. Oh, salary for mentor. You don't. If this video goes viral, there are probably gonna be a lot of people pissed at what I'm about to say. You don't have to pay a mentor. You don't, and there's no salary to it. There's nothing that you have to give. There's no equity you have to give. If you ask me right now, for me, will I be your mentor? Sure. Here's the restriction that you get. Is I can only give you 30 to 45 minutes per week for the next few weeks free of charge. Now, if you want more of my time, so you want me to be more involved in the help you raise money, and I become an advisor, okay, well then you start to look at equity. And equity can go, you know, all the way from, and this is just what we've seen in our space, so just, you know, as a note, it can go from 1/10 of a point, so 0.1% to 1%, depending on the investors, or excuse me, the advisor's involvement, how strategic they are. For instance, if I brought on Bill Gates as an advisor, probably give that guy a lot, because he's probably going to do a lot of good for me. But if I just brought, you know, someone I know who's really well in the industry that I just need to ask a few questions to, and they would look good in a strategic position to be a part of our company, that's something that I would give a little bit less to. So mentors, you don't have to give equity. You don't have to pay them. That's a choice that you have. See how valuable they are. If a mentor is guiding you in one direction, and we'll just use investment as an example, if they're guiding you on your investment, introducing you to investors, it's successful, maybe that's someone you reward, or maybe you reward them with something. You provide them equity in return for all the good that they've done for you. But again, that's up to you. I tell that to all of our founders that, you know, the mentors that we provide you do not require equity. If you would like to bring them on, you know, a much larger fashion, That's for you to make a decision on. We don't require it, and they don't require it. So. Both. So we set very clear milestones. Not as detailed as you and your team will do. I mean, you and your team should be setting milestones every day. For us, that's so after the class is done and they're no longer here in San Francisco, or we're no longer working as closely, and they're back in the UK or wherever, we start setting up longer term, more vague or higher level goals. So, we want to raise a Series A. We want to launch the product in June. We want to manufacture the product in May. With those, we then start having meetings once a week, depending on the type of timeline. If we're not putting the product in production until May, we only may need to meet once a week between now and then. And when it hits March, it has to move up to 2 to 3 times a week, so that we can make sure everybody's staying on task and any questions that need to be answered are there and continue to move forward. So it just depends on the situation, but generally it's once a week. So say it one more time. It's a very clear-cut thing. Well, first off, as a startup, as a company, you're always going to need mentorship, always. And if you don't, you're either a genius or you're making some very, very bold, potentially silly ideas. And good to have mentorship. It's good to have it. I have mentorship right now. I mean, like I have people that I call when we are looking to make very big decisions. My co-founder and I both do. We have mentors together. We have mentors separately that have supported us through our entire careers. We look to them when making big decisions or making bold decisions of something new that we're going to be doing. Another way to think about it too, you're always learning. Always learning. Every day you learn something new. You're learning something new right now. And with that, you want to have somebody there that you can rely on. So I've done talks like this to people all around the world. I have individuals who will reach. They may consider me a mentor. I don't know. I hope they do. And they just ask a general question like, "Hey, I'm about to do this. I've got this team, and this is actually an issue that came up in Egypt with a group that I talked with in Cairo. One of the young ladies of the group, she was putting together a very large organization at her university. She's like, I don't know how to fix this. Like, how the hell does this work? Like, I've got these people are doing this, and these people are doing that. How do I fix this? And we sat down and we started going through it, and we fixed it. There's a chance that she may come back to me in the future for something else. Now, if you look at it from the level of intimate mentorship, so someone who is sitting by your side every single day, every single moment, you're going to get to a point where you don't need that. You're going to get to a point where you start to grow away from that and spend more time with your team themselves. The mentors will take kind of a step back, and they'll be there for you when you need them. But again, you're all need mentorship in some way or advisement in some way, and think of it as a good thing, not a bad thing. How to become a mentor? Just get on stage with a microphone and talk to people. No, anybody can be a mentor. It's a great question. When I first moved to Los Angeles, I had already started 3 companies. I'd done a lot of really good things in my career, and it's a brand new city, fish in a very, very large pond. The startup scene was very small. There's only 20 of us. Now it's one of the 3rd or 4th largest in the world in terms of funding and size. And what we did is, as a community, like, we started just helping each other. Through that, as new companies came in, new entrepreneurs came in, guess who they looked to? those that had already been through the game once. I mean, really just establishing yourself. If you have great knowledge in engineering or great knowledge in product management, if you're at a meetup, you're at something like this, you're out and about, someone needs help, go up and help them. Because I guarantee you, if you offer someone advice once, they'll probably come back to you for again and again and again, and then they'll tell other people, yeah, want to talk about product management, like go to Kyle. He helped me out, and he'd be more than happy to help you out. Then slowly you just become someone that a young startup will go to. No, I don't think so. I think I could teach you how to be a mentor right now, and it would be the same as you learning how to be a mentor. Be there, opening and willing to help somebody. There you go. Lesson 1. Lesson 2. Be very clear and upfront how much time you can give. It's one of the biggest mistakes that you can make is going into a mentor on someone's team is letting them think you've got all the time in the world and you don't. So be very clear about that. Other than that, just be there to support them. It's easy. 1, 2, and a half. There you go. But yeah, if you want to be a mentor, just tell people. And if someone asks you a question, say, yeah, I'd answer that, or be more than happy to mentor you and guide you through the process. There's a lot of stuff out there in this world that's hard. It's much easier to do it with somebody than alone. Building a company is one of those. Putting together a large team is another. Raising money. And so, yeah, always just reach out to people. And if you guys have a community, just a group of people that meets, or you've got enough companies or entrepreneurs that all know each other, again, just share your skill set. One thing that we did do in LA that just took off surprisingly is 3 co-founders, myself included, all different companies. We found that when we first started, we had very little mentorship, a lot of questions. In a new world, none of us were really from Los Angeles, so it was a whole new space for us. The scene was still growing. Money was in the Valley. It was not in LA, unless you were in entertainment. But we found answers. And the 3 of us came together and were like, how do we prevent this from happening? How do we make sure that the LA tech scene continues to grow and becomes dominant? And the interesting thing is we turned to Facebook. So we started a private group on Facebook. First, very similar to Fight Club. You don't talk about the secret group. I'm just kidding. So we did not allow any VCs. We did not allow any press. It was a personal closed network that only was accessible to the entrepreneurs in the community. You could ask anything, and someone would be there to support you. That group started with 3 people. It is now over 2,000 people today, and that's because we still limit it. I did the same thing with our entrepreneurs in our lab, so in our incubator. So we have a private group that everybody can ask questions. There's no judgment. In this Los Angeles group, someone could say a silly question. Like, what is the best lawyer for an entrepreneur in this city? When you've got at every event 6 lawyers who support entrepreneurs. They don't know that. And maybe they want an opinion from myself or someone else, and they can get it. So if you really want to stand out, do something bold like that. Start bringing people together, get involved in the community, and showcase what you do best. So there you go. And then if you deem to be mentored, to be a mentor, I will happily mentor you. So, yeah, buddy. So this goes, 1, back to communication, and 2, back to being very clear and setting a clear foundation to your team. So, for instance, if everyone needs to be in office at 9 o'clock, everybody needs to be in the office at 9 o'clock, and you need to make that very clear. We had an employee two situations. One, we had an employee we could not for the life of us, get. We got to a point where like this person is just not going to show up at 9. You're going to show up at 9:30 every day. I have nothing I can do. This was in a corporation, so I'm like, I can't fire the guy because he does amazing work. I just know he's going to show up 30 minutes late. So any meetings that I have to do, anything that I know that I need done, either has to be given on the day before, or will not be started before 9:30. And if there's a case, an important meeting, an investor meeting, a large, we need to make it very clear up front that this person has to be in here, or if not, the rest of the team needs to help and support. In a different setting, we ended up more or less directing them to show up at 9 o'clock. So it would show up at 9:30 every day, and we said, okay, company culture is that we show up at 9 o'clock. Decision 1 or decision 2. Show up at 9 o'clock or don't show up. What do you want to do? And it sounds harsh, but it was dry that you have this entire team at 9 o'clock, and one person does not every day consistently. And for whatever the reason, it's different for every person. But you have to find a way to get them to do so. And usually if you make it very clear and cut, option 1, option 2, they'll slowly start to show up. Or you start to work them in a little earlier. So say, all right, I get it. You can't be here at 9:30, or you can't be here until 9:30. I got a meeting, though, I have to have you in at 9:20 tomorrow. Can you be here at 9:20? I got a meeting you have to be here for 9:15. Can you be here at 9:15? And you slowly work them back into getting into that 9 o'clock mindset. Very clear, if it's your company, set very open, very clear-cut company culture. Just be like, for instance, if it's you have to be in at 9, everyone has to be in at 9. That is the rule. And if someone is coming in late, you need to have that conversation of why is this happening? What is the reason? How can we get you in here earlier? Start scheduling important meetings with them. If the company culture and everybody is showing up, like 9:15 and 9:30, 9:45, let it be known that everyone just has to be in at 10 o'clock. Our culture is a little different. So because people from areas, some people come from the valley, some people come from the city, some of us get in at 7:30, some will get in at 8, some get in at 9, 9:30, 10. But the general rule is, if you have a meeting, no matter what time it is, you better be at that meeting, because the company depends on it. Our success depends on it. And if you're not going to be in the office, let us know ahead of time so that we can plan for that. So, for instance, your person at 9:30, I said find ways, understand why they're only showing up at 9:30. Is it traffic? Get up a few minutes earlier. It's very easy to avoid that. I'm probably the worst to talk about this right now, the fact that I showed up 30 minutes late today. But yeah, you've got to find a way to see what's going on, and then be very clear that this is the way that the team works, and you've got to be here to work with the team. So salary, when you work for an organization, you probably don't have control to decrease salary. You can go with a typical method of being written up in an organization where, if they get so many write-ups, they have to go talk to HR, and depending on what the write-ups are, it could lead to a suspension, it could lead to a firing. There's a lot of different ways to handle it. I think if for you being in an organization, I would look towards your HR manager and how it should be handled. If it's your own company, figure out your own method of how you want to move forward. And if they're a great employee, listen, if it's a 30-minute difference, it's a 30-minute difference. And if they're making it up on the other side, just let it happen and let it be very known that so and so will not get in until 9:30. So, but yeah, for you, like definitely check with HR. So I don't want to give you advice that HR would tell me or tell you this is a horrible decision. So generally it's you get kind of a write up, and then based on that they'll talk to HR, and HR will figure out what to do. Great question. Great question. It goes back to culture. So, well, so I mean, I would say company culture, not necessarily country culture. Company wise. So for us, I mean, there are times that I will work 20 hours a day. I will be in the office for 12. I'll go home. I'll work for longer, and then I'll get up and work for a couple hours before I go into the office. That's me. My team is very similar. We all show up in the office for pretty much the same time. So somewhere between 9 and 10 until 5 and 6, because we have meetings that to get taken in the office. We have people that show up. We have companies that have to be taken. A lot of things happen in the office. So for us, it makes sense to be structured in some. I think for other companies, depending on the service or the product that you're providing, you might be able to do it a little bit free. I personally wouldn't recommend it. I personally would recommend set hours of some sort that people can be together. Not necessarily in an office, go to a coffee shop, whatever it may be. But from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. we are together as a unit. After 1 o'clock, let's go home, have lunch, do whatever. Let's have a quick call in the evening, knowing that everybody is getting work done. Like I know right now, our entire team, and myself included, we leave the office, we go home and relax for a few minutes, and then we're right back at it, making sure that we're prepared and ready for the day or catch up on anything that might have been missed earlier. I think it's all a company culture, but I can tell you right now, all the companies that I know, here and elsewhere in the world, the majority of them that function well and have survived are because they have some structure to them. So show up at this time to this time, be together. Because the other problem you run into is when you're not together, you're not communicating. Again, we all sit at that table together, which means from 9 to 5 or 10 to 6, I can just sit there and be like, all right, this needs to get done. They can say, all right, this needs to be approved. Let's get that done. When you're not together for a long period of time. Vacations are different. Everyone goes on a vacation at the same time. That's one thing. But if you're always just never together, things do not move as fast or efficiently as they should. And it's just the unfortunate nature of the game. So. Our mentors are just people in general. Like I know. So remember, a mentor can be anybody. A mentor could just be a person that you met a person you met at the bar who happens to work for a company that does engineering in some way, that can provide you insight or good information, or advisement on how to do what you're doing better, or in a certain direction that you want to go. So it can be anybody, literally anybody. In terms of my network in that area, I do have a few people, yes. And if you look me up on LinkedIn, you can go through it, and anybody that you'd like to be connected to, I'm happy to connect you to in that area. But I would encourage you to start looking for people that you feel comfortable working with and you feel comfortable asking questions to. When you work with a mentor, you have to ask difficult questions. Should I take this investment? Is this this change that I'm going to make on the back from AWS to a different cert to Rackspace? Is that a good decision? Sometimes those are difficult questions. Sometimes they're very easy. So I would encourage you to find mentors that you're comfortable with anywhere in the world. I mean, mine are all over the place. And it's actually kind of interesting because you get a very unique dynamic in response when you ask a question. questions? All right, guys. I will happily give it to you guys. Thank you very much. And if you guys have any more questions about, team building, team dynamics, or mentorship, or anything of the nature, happy to chat. My Twitter is, I think my name's on the list over there. My Twitter is just my full name. My email address is kyle@wearableworld.co. You can find me on LinkedIn and connect with me. Find me on Facebook. Yes, you may. But you don't have to ask either. You're more than welcome to do so. So guys, thank you very much. It was a pleasure speaking with you. If you guys have any more questions, don't hesitate. So.